Hi, this is Kenneth Jayasuriya from Porsche Centre Calgary, just showing you our classic division here. In the service shop we do modern cars, but as you can see around me right now we have a lot of classic vehicles. We have two G-body cars sitting side by side. We have the 89 white Carrera here, and we have a 87. You probably recognize this from the previous video where we kind of went through the engine and whatnot from I guess when it was out on the table. But I'll start off because we have a little bit of engines going on here, and we have them from a couple different models, but they're all air-cooled, so it'll be kind of a good family tree of engines here. Here, I'm not going to go too far with it, but this one here is from our Restoration Challenge vehicle. This is a 1997 993 C4S engine. It's a 3.6. With this engine, this came from our Restoration Challenge vehicle. If you want to follow us and kind of see more in-depth previous shots and how this even came out of it, go to our Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn to see a little bit more on what's going on there. We'll have further videos and film on this one here in the future, but this one here is a 3.6. Kind of some common little things here for this is we're going to be looking at secondary air, and we'll have a photo here for you to take a look at, and then we'll add that in, and as well oil leaks that are fairly common and maintenance items that we would see with a 3.6 out of the 993 air-cooled. So I'll leave you with that one there, but that's kind of the newest, and we're going to some of the old school stuff here, but kind of the more sought after 3.2 liter NAs. This one here is actually a complete version of what we have back here. These two are 3.2s. This you probably saw off of our previous video where we had it actually on the engine stand with the transmission separated, but we're actually just showing you a little bit of kind of the tear down and the process of how it's going. This one here, I'll slide over just real quick. We talked about fuel issues and fuel line issues that we had with the previous on the previous video, but we kind of went a little bit further. Once we had the engine out, we went through some of the tune-up parts. One main thing is valve adjustment and spark plugs on these cars. So we just noticed that there was actually a significant difference between 5 out of the 6 cylinders. So as you can see here, that one there, we're looking at more of a regular running vehicle, maybe on the lean side, but more on the regular running type vehicle here. But out of the rest of them, we have 5 that are actually looking a little covered, and kind of going through our knowledge and everything like that, we're looking at oil issues. So whether it's a guide, rings, whatever it may be. Our leak down was actually really good on this engine, but we wanted to see what was going on with this for the client and letting them know what exactly was going on. So we actually boroscoped it. We found that oil was actually trickling in on the exhaust valve of it, and I'll have some photos inserted so you could actually see the head, the intake, and the exhaust, the actual ports, what it actually looked like with the engine torn apart and how severe it actually was. In this case, the client didn't quite realize what was going on, but what we've showed them along the way is that this vehicle, after we're done with it, is going to be running significantly better. It'll be that much better overall, and it'll feel like a new car again. Like we mentioned in the previous video about the clutch, over time things can break down and kind of deteriorate, but in this case, the same thing can happen with an engine, just runnability. You just get used to how it drives and performs. You might not think that it'll perform to its full potential, but at the same time too, stuff like this you just don't see. So when it comes in, we tear it down, we see what's going on, but you can see how far we've gone with this. We have the cylinders, everything off. We have our heads out for repair. We do have some guide issues and also valve seal issues that I'll insert some photos here for you to see. But this is actually a case together with the crank and the connecting rods hanging out. The chain and everything like that is in place. At this point, it's the decision to go further based on mileage and everything like that. We're just going to kind of continue on based on what we see and what's best for the client as well too, and their budget. But at the same time, this is the 3.2 that you saw in the previous video. Refer to that, and maybe we'll add that in the description below. But at the same time, you see this is actually the complete version of that. 2 years difference, but fairly common on pretty much everything that goes along with it. And this came from the white 89 that we have over here. The reason why we do things in stages like this is because we have many things going on. With the 3.6 we have from our 993 restoration, the actual body right now is out for getting its body restoration, so rust repair, anything like that that is required for the chassis. So we're going to be doing our mechanical and engine and everything like that here fairly soon. With the 3.2, we have components out at machining and components that require some long-term care and that kind of thing we're doing. So as you can see, things are slowly getting cleaned up as we go. We have a rotation, and in this case here, we have an engine that was just recently pulled out, like literally yesterday, to get some sealing and light, maintenance items done. But as you can see with this one here, we did find what we like to say is when we don't know what's going on, an engine out is kind of the best thing. In this case, we were very, very happy seeing that the engine came out. We did find things that you don't see on the back of it because you're just staring at the front when you pop open that mail slot, and you kind of just see, belts, certain things that are just on the front half of it. AC compressor just lives right here, but you don't see too much what's going on. But in this case, I'll start, I guess, from here. We have an aftermarket exhaust, which we have no problem with. Everything's all good, but it's how things are mounted and how things are actually put together. With this exhaust, when it was installed by the previous shop or whatever it may be, they left off two main clamps here that actually hold it and support this big heavy component, this muffler, up. And they left those off, and therefore that weight of that muffler, every time you're driving, it's actually bouncing and it's causing stress on the rest of the exhaust system. So we're going to add in those clamps, but also repair any of the damage caused to the performance exhaust based on that. So where we have the actual tubes coming in and the heat exchangers here, it's actually separated a little bit. So that's something that you may not notice or you may not seem to care about, but at the same time too, that can cause further damage, cracking to the exhaust. And in this case, actually an odd, strange noise at certain bumps and conditions where you'd hear this kind of screeching sound, and the client couldn't figure out what it was, but just noticing that was kind of one of our first steps. Obviously, we talked about this stuff in the past with the other 3.2, but belts, plug wires, spark plugs, all those things will all be addressed as we go along. But things you can't see is just on the back end of this engine is that things like this. We have the exhaust right here that's further down, this heat exchanger, and we have a fuel line here that's actually been over torqued and kinked over. So you can see the stress that it has just right on that tube itself. This line is fuel. So fuel and exhaust, we know that's not going to be a good thing. These are things that we're just super happy that we can kind of see while the engine's out. Another thing too is this client had some runnability issues, never knew what was going on with it, had hard starts, this or that, but at the same time it's hard to see back here, and you can see that someone has actually bypassed certain components of the vacuum lines, and they've actually left right down in here a port open on the throttle body. So having them bypassed, and they're doing things like this, and we're looking at a post throttle body vacuum leak. So it's kind of it's not a good thing in a way. So we have some runnability issues there. We have a fire hazard here, and then as for the performance exhaust, you saw what happened with the muffler. At the same time, there's supposed to be the proper clamps and actual hoses that hold this in place, and in this case, this was the decision from the previous place, was to utilize, I guess, duct tape or heat tape to actually tape this to the actual heater flaps that are located on the chassis of the car. So you can see how with the heat it started melting out and causing an issue there. Depending on what type of heat range this tape is, it could be a fire hazard or an issue down the line. But they went as long, sealing that up, but at the same time too, with this performance muffler, it also has a port on the side here that was left open to atmosphere. So therefore that heat and everything going to the front of the vehicle through the heater channels, you're just not going to have that heat and that defrost that you were after. All in all, we're looking at this engine. It's really good that we have it out. We can assess everything that along the way and replace things as we go. A rear main seal, why not, while it's out. We're looking at clutch components. We have the old disc rubber dampener for the clutch disc, and you can see on the inside here that we do have impacting on some of the spots right here. So that dampener is weak, it's not holding up. So we did have the client complaining about gear changing, clutch disengagement, that kind of thing, and some noise that was occurring, and we do have significant issues there. Another thing that he didn't realize as well too was that this ring gear is basically on its way out. You can see some crash marks here where the starter either hung up or it was turned while the engine was running, and you can see the damage that it caused right here. So in this case, we're able to just kind of go through, make sure everything's 100%, but it's us showing you kind of the stages. We have one on the pallet ready to be torn down. We have one that just was ripped out, and this 3.2 is the exact, engine that we have here on the stand, and that one on the stand there is in basic kind of mid progress. So we're in mid teardown, cleaning, and sending components to the machine shop. In this case, we have all the tooling and everything like that and equipment just to make sure that these are 100%. We don't look at a cylinder, we don't look at a component and think that based on the look it's fine. We'll either have it checked professionally, meaning with a machine shop, to go that much further, or we'll do everything in-house using the proper tooling and specs that are required to get these cars right. Even for our cleaning process here, you can kind of see some of the difference. I know this is a control arm or a link on this. This is off a 993, but this is giving you an example of what can be, what the change can happen between having a vehicle that has dirty components and having it bright and clean again. So this is a new process that we're using to bring certain aspects of the car, like valve covers, engine shrouds, fans, this and that, bringing them back to their original condition without taking any kind of major material off of it. There's very, very little, if not any, material taken off, so it'll take any kind of the fine dirt, debris, or light pitting or rust. As you can see, we have some valve covers that were done for our 87 3.2 that are bagged and kind of ready for going on, but you could also see on our 89 what they previously looked like, and you can see I'm telling you now, they're not painted. They're actually refinished in a way that we have that factory fresh look again. So depending on your budget, we could always do everything mechanically, we could do everything with service, and we could also go as far as full restoration, bringing anything back to its original form again. So working with us, we have all the latest things that Porsche is giving us for the classic side of this division, and hopefully you'll work with us. This is Kenneth Jaisurya from Porsche Centre Calgary. Hopefully we'll see your classic here in the summer, and remember our rates and parts pricing will always be there, reflective for our classic clientele. Thank you.